The Silk Road didn't begin trade at first, but it did radically expand its scope, and the connections that were formed by mostly unknown merchants arguably changed the world more than any other political and religious leaders.
The road was not a road. It's not like archaeologists working in Uzbekistan have uncovered a bunch of yield signs and baby on board stickers. It was an overland route where merchants carried goods for trade. But it was really two routes. One that connected the eastern Mediterranean to Central Asia, and one that went from Central Asia to China. Further complicating things, the Silk Road involved sea routes. Many goods reached Rome via the Mediterranean, and goods from Central Asia found their way across the Pacific to Japan and even Java. So we shouldn't think of the Silk Road as a road, but rather as a network of trade routes. But just as now, the goods traveled more than the people who traded them. Very few traders traversed the entire Silk Road. Instead, they'd move back and forth between towns, selling to traders who'd take the goods further toward their destination, with everybody marking up prices along the way. So what'd they trade? Well, silk for starters. For millennia, silk was only produced in China. It is spun from the cocoons of mulberry tree-eating worms, and the process of silk making, as well as the techniques for raising the worms, were closely guarded secrets since the lion's share of China's wealth came from silk production. The Chinese used silk as fishing line, to buy off nomadic raiders to keep things peaceful, and to write before they invented paper. But as an export, silk was mostly used for clothes. Silk clothing feels light in the summer and warm in the winter, and until we invented $700 pre-distressed designer jeans, decking yourself out in silk was the #1 way to show people that you were wealthy. The Mediterranean exported such cliché goods as olives, olive oil, wine, and mustachioed plumbers. China also exported raw materials like jade, silver, and iron. India exported fine cotton textiles. Ivory that originated in East Africa made its way across the Silk Road. And Arabia exported incense and spices and tortoise shells. Oh god, it's a red one, isn't it? It's just gonna chase me. Ow!
We all know the Silk Road launched by the Chinese Han Empire during the first 2-3 centuries. After 2,000 years, the Chinese President Xi Jinping announced the idea of reviving the new Silk Road in 2013. The aim of this project is to redirect China's domestic overcapacity and regional capital for infrastructure development to improve trade and relations between the Central Asia and European countries. Today we want to ask some people how do they know about the new Silk Road. Let's go. Have you ever heard of the China's new Silk Road?
Yes, of course.
So do you know the reason why China wants to launch this new program?
China's top priority is to stimulate the domestic economy by building roads, pipelines, ports, and railways, and diversifying the export options and exporting the existing industrial capacity such as steels and cement. Also, there are geopolitical reasons. China applied to negotiate free trade agreements with 65 countries along with the roads. Now China has signed 12 free trade agreements with countries.
Thank you. Okay, let's ask you those to see if you have ever heard about the new Silk Road. So, Lindsay, do you know which regions are included in this new program?
Sure, only heard of One Belt, One Road lies an economic land belt that includes countries on the original Silk Road through West Asia, Central Asia, Middle East, and Europe, as well as a maritime road that links China's port facilities with African coast, pushing up through Suez Canal into Mediterranean. And the key plan of this unblocked rail and road network between China and Europe is to involving the 60 countries representing 1/3 of the world economy and half of the population. The ultimate goal of China is to extend the initiative to Latin America and Africa.